The song All We Are has a few lyric bites in there that are pretty powerful. Talking about how we can waste love. Has anyone ever sensed and woken up to realizing we've wasted love in some places, in some spaces? Maybe due to some habits or some thinking that wasn't conducive to love. Maybe it was right before us and we didn't see it. It has the line, believing the simple should be hard. How often do we do that? How often do we overcomplicate things instead of just looking at a simple practice, a simple truth, and saying, show me how this doesn't have to be hard. Show me how even this is reasonable, attainable. And looking at how our minds frame things. Can we consciously step into a practice of remembering that every day is the start of something beautiful, that every day can be the start of something beautiful? Last week, Reverend Brandon shared with us the concept and the idea that we're all expressions of God, and that when we take time in the silence, we get this at a deep level, but that we're here to be expressions of Source, whatever it is you call God, whether it's love, whether it's divine mind, whether it's creativity itself in action, but that we are all of this and we are all to be expressing it. Can we really get the magnitude of that, really what that means to be here on earth, expressing the unlimited, expressing the highest nature of life itself? Imelda Shanklin, which is an old Unity author, she wrote in the book, What Are You? She said, you are God encompassed, and you are God encompassing. In God you live, move, and have your being. In you, God lives, moves, and must be given expression. You cannot exist in God if God does not exist in you. It's funny how we overcomplicate this. It's funny how we take such a concept that has unlimited love and we seem to put limitations on it. Even the word God, right? I love being in the new member orientation group because we talk about the words for God that turn you off and the words for God that turn you on. Like what words, what expressions for Source make you really feel you are connected, that we are all one, that this ever-flowing river of life, love, intelligence, spirit is all that is. And what words make you go, ooh, that one taught me how to hate, or that one taught me how to exclude, that one taught me how to shut down. So much suffering comes from not understanding the simple truth that we are expressions of Source, that we live and move and have our being in Source and as Source. To really get the magnitude of that would stop each one of us right where we are. Individually and collectively, what does it look like step by step, moment by moment, if we're waking up to that possibility, that truth, if we're demonstrating it, activating it? I was just at a restaurant, and a woman came to serve the food, and we had a conversation. She saw my little G, and she said, did you breastfeed? And I said, yeah, I'm still breastfeeding, actually. Yes. I shouldn't say it like that. Yes, thank God I have a job that I can, right? I'm going to breastfeed her till she's, no, just kidding. 7, just kidding. But this woman, so, we were just having a conversation about babies, and she said, I have a little one. So when she came back around, I said, how old is your little one? 10 months old. And she said, did you breastfeed? I said, yeah, I did, and I still am. And she said, oh. And I said, what? And she started sharing about it and talking about it, and she said, I wish that I still was. He's 10 months old, and at my last job, I'm probably going to start crying. Just get ready. She said, at my last job, it was before the law was passed that they have to make time for you. They were still supposed to make time for you, but there wasn't enough time. I think it was a call center or something like that. There wasn't enough time, and so I tried it for the longest time, and I feel so sad because I really wanted to, and he's still just 10 months old, and she was now at a new job where she could have, but, the window is kind of passed, and she said, I really, really wanted to, and he's 10 months old, but I couldn't because I couldn't get the time. They wouldn't give me the time. What does that say about a community? What does that say about beings? It's one thing if someone doesn't want to or it doesn't work for them for some reason, or medically it doesn't work for some reason. But it's another thing for someone to want to, at the depths of their heart, be able to provide this nutrient-rich, magnificent miracle that was God's source given and driven to their child. I was watching a documentary on breast milk, and it's just incredible, all of the benefits that they're finding that they didn't even know about, these hidden benefits. It helps them regulate their sleep cycle. It does all of this amazing stuff. But we can create anything we want to here on this planet, right? We can create anything that we want to. We really can. The door is wide open. The nature is unlimited. Yet we sometimes, for arbitrary reasons or for financial gain, we say, nope. I was at a diner having breakfast, and the woman came up to the table, and she said, she's seen me many times, and she said, I just want to let you know today there's a long wait. And so if you want to go, I understand. I just like telling people that because otherwise, in a good way, she said they'd take it out on me. And we know each other enough to have a little more of a conversation than she may have. And I could tell the stress, and I said, I'm so sorry that's stressful for you. And she said, yeah, I have 14 tables today, and they're just not hiring enough people. And I said, okay, thanks. But I think we're good, we'll still stay. And then I could smell the bleach from the cleaning, and I saw people sitting around, and I thought, I wonder how long that long wait is. She came back to the table. We started talking again, and she said, well, like those people, they've been here for 45 minutes, and they haven't gotten their food yet. And I thought, maybe not. But she went on to say, she said, yesterday I worked for 7 hours. I worked for 7 hours, and I made $13. And I said to clarify, because I was like, in tips? Like, I hope not altogether, but in tips? Yeah, $13. Because of a decision that the management made, or a transition, whatever they're going through, that they don't have enough people, right? She worked a 7-hour day and had $13 at the end of it. And by this time, I'm thinking, we're thinking, we want to go. We want to leave just the 45-minute thing, da-da-da. And she was so great, she was just like, I'm trying to save you from, experiencing this or being mad at me. And I just gave her, a blessing, like, as far as you hang in there, good job. As we were getting ready to go, my friend said, yeah, I definitely want to go, because I was more on the side of saying, the friend said, I definitely want to head out, but I don't have any cash. Do you have any cash in the car for a tip? And I said, yeah. And so ran to the car, got the, and when she came back to the table, I said, we are going to head out, but I just, my friend's going to the car real quick just to get you a tip. And she, thank you. Brought back in $20 and left. We are here to be expressions of God. Do we do everything that we can do in every moment to alleviate suffering? Both of those women, by the way, were African American women working in service industry. Do we do what we can do to alleviate suffering? Do we do it collectively? Do we do it individually? Because this life isn't meant to be about suffering. There are enough hard things that happen, right? There is enough that happens that challenges us just because of the nature of life and the nature of love and loss, right? There are so many things that do that. But what does it say when we as individuals or we as a collective look at and look past the suffering that's happening without asking ourselves the question, what can I do? So have we thought about that question? Are we open to it? Are we too busy to even ask ourselves or to even look at it? Will you take a deep breath with me? Just a deep breath. And this is not out of guilt. This is out of pure love. But are we willing to look at today and in this season? Are we willing to look at undue suffering? How we might be a part of it on a collective level, with our conscious or our unconscious choices, on an individual level. I invite us to just close our eyes for a moment and get out of our individual ego sense of self. Just get out of that into that place where you know you're whole and you're complete. When there is no thing that any one of us needs to defend, where we know we are just simply love and expression, and that is our true birthright and our deep intention to be love in expression to others and to ourselves, to community, and to the true high and holy nature that is existent within and that binds all of us. As we tune into that this morning, let's first tune into ourselves, because everything starts right here within. What is the self-talk that you have? Do you still have some self-talk that creates suffering? When something happens, is there a dialogue that goes on where you attack yourself? Where you use unkind words or circulate and recirculate unkind thoughts, images, where you may blow things out of proportion or think in certain ways that lead you to suffering. Just be present to that for a moment and invite in the light to lift up any negative self-talk that may create suffering. Sweet source of light, shine on this inner kingdom. Illuminate the darkness. Start to unravel the internal dialogue and the internal conversations that create suffering. Now tune into what we create for others. Do I create undue suffering for others? In what ways do I? Either those that are close to me or strangers. Can I just pause for a deep moment and do a scan with that question? In what ways may I not understand or see, or maybe I'm fully aware, do I create undue suffering for others? Maybe it's something that's a problem for me that then becomes a problem for other people, creating stress, anxiety, pain. Maybe it's emotional regulation or distancing self or anger or projection, irritability, habits, fears, complaining, isolation, whatever it is. How I treat those I don't even know. How I treat those who are closest to me. What is the cost of this in my life? Let us sincerely ask this question. What is the cost of this in my life? What consequences might I not even be aware of that affect me and that affect others? This is not about guilt, it's about expansion. We are whole and complete, and we trust that in each moment we do our highest and best. But we're asking to see more, to learn more, to know more. I invite you in this space to just set an intention to be aware, an intention to reveal undue suffering so that we can heal it, to invite in and ask for all the support this universe has. So that we may be mighty expressions of our source, that we may expand our ability to be an instrument of love, an instrument of healing. An instrument of light. And so it is. So the master teacher often taught lessons and walked into situations that demonstrated a release of suffering, especially suffering that didn't need to be happening, that was just expanded because of the limitations in the minds of individuals. So speaking to the woman at the well, he demonstrates equality. He demonstrates that no, there is no one that is unworthy or not equal in the eyes of Source. We can all talk to each other. We can all be with each other. There is no being that is less than another. He does that same demonstration with the children, saying, bring them to me. He's saying that just because of one's age doesn't mean they're less whole, less complete, less deserving, less holy. Treat them as that. He does that with the adulteress. When people are attacking and throwing stones, he says, enough, enough. Don't complicate suffering. Don't make more. And he shared the words in the Lord's Prayer, the words of how to pray, how to open up to more. And one of, I think, Unity's favorite guys, Rocco Errico and Neil Douglas Klotz, both have done some looking at the translations of the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic. And this is the book, The Prayer of the Cosmos, Meditations on the Aramaic Words of Jesus. And I want to share just this little part. It's from the piece, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And the words in Aramaic are, Wela tatlan lenisuna ela patsan minbisha. And the translation, the meditative translation, goes like this: don't let surface things delude us, but free us from what holds us back, our true purpose. Don't let us enter forgetfulness, the temptation of false appearances, but break the hold of unripeness, the inner stagnation that prevents good fruit. Deceived neither by the outer nor the inner, free us to walk your path with joy. Keep us from hoarding false wealth and from the inner shame of help not given in time. Don't let surface things delude us, but free us from what holds us back. Free us from what holds us back. He goes on to say, having involved ourselves in the work of justice, the bread, and compassion, forgiveness, we come again to see our limitations as well as all the pain and suffering that we cause ourselves and the rest of creation. And get this, if you get something today, get this deeply. When we are in the state of causing suffering for ourselves, it is inevitable that we will cause suffering for others. When we are hurt, we can't see. That's why it starts within, right? Because only when I can turn and have self-compassion here can I even start seeing I couldn't possibly handle the pain of knowing I could cause any suffering on the outer if I am in gut-wrenching pain and suffering on the inner, right? He says the prayer here reminds us not to forget our origins in creation, but the divine breath, nor to burn out over all that needs to be done. This line goes together with the next to push us toward a new breakthrough into joy. Ela patzan min bisha was translated, but deliver us from evil. Bisha does mean evil or error, but in the Hebraic and Aramaic sense of unripeness or inappropriate action. The root point towards a sense of what delays or diverts us from advancing. Pointing us toward what delays or diverts us from advancing. As well as a sense of inner shame for not producing good fruit, the right action at the right time. Patzan could also be translated loosen the hold of, or give liberty from, or break the seal that binds us to. He goes on to say, this line finishes the statement of the previous one. Don't let us be deluded by the surface of life, but neither let us become so inward and self-absorbed that we cannot act simply and humanely at the right time. The prayer reminds us that sometimes our ideals, including those of holiness, peace, and unity, carry us into the future and the past and make it difficult to be in the present where help is needed now. Today is our first Sunday of Lent. Lent is a practice that for some it may seem archaic or irrelevant, but it's a time when the energy is ripe to release something that no longer serves the highest good. To let go of something that is ready to lift off. In order to do that, sometimes it takes shifting our focus. Charles Fillmore talked about two laws that I want to look at today, the law of conservation and the law of infinite expansion. The law of conservation is about building up a large reserve, Charles Fillmore says, a large reserve of consciousness, of substance, life, strength, and power, instead of laying up material pleasures. And he said this is done through prayer. The law of conservation. And then the law of infinite expansion, the principle of never ceasing growth and development towards the fulfillment of God's perfect idea that is firmly fixed in all creation. Well, in order to expand, sometimes we have to let go of something. So can we do that dance? Suffering sucks a lot of energy and a lot of power out of ourselves and out of the collective. So this Lent season, the invitation is to look at undue suffering and undoing suffering. About asking ourselves, how can we create less suffering individually and collectively? How can we undo it? And at the same time, opening up to how, where, and with what we waste or leak the most time and spiritual energy. Really asking ourselves, where do I waste or leak the most spiritual energy? It's probably in an area where we're suffering. Because when we do that, we cannot be present. When we do that, we cannot fully experience ourselves as emanations of the source. Lent is about living and embodying a new thought. I once read about angels, and it said that angels are always here to assist us. They're always here to assist us, but they won't meddle. They won't get involved unless you ask them. So let's think during this Lenten season. Are we willing to ask for help of the universal source of light? And then to, on the same note, as we ask for help in releasing what is ours to release in this next 40 days, also to offer something. To say, here I am, source, angels, spirit, universe, community, here I am. I'm willing to offer something. Show me. Here I am. Namaste.